Have you ever stopped to ask yourself a question so simple it almost sounds stupid? Why are plants green? You've seen them a million times. Trees, grass, bushes, algae in a pond. They're green. That's just how the world works, right? But here's the strange thing. The sun pours down an enormous amount of energy on this planet, and most of that light is not green. The sun's peak output is in the yellow and green part of the spectrum. So why would plants, whose entire existence depends on capturing sunlight, throw away the most abundant color? That question led a scientist named Shiladitya DasSarma to a strange idea. The idea that Earth was once purple. This is not science fiction. This is a real scientific hypothesis. To understand it, you need to go back to the beginning of life on Earth. Let's start with a simple question. What is color, really? Color is just light. Different wavelengths of light hit your eye, and your brain interprets them as different colors. Red has a long wavelength. Blue has a short one. Green sits right in the middle. Every color you see is just your brain translating electromagnetic radiation. Now, when it comes to plants, they use a molecule called chlorophyll. That is the molecule that makes plants green. Chlorophyll absorbs light in the red and blue parts of the spectrum and reflects green light back into your eyes. That is why plants look green, because they are throwing green away. They are reflecting it. For decades, scientists assumed chlorophyll was the best molecule for photosynthesis. It made sense. It is everywhere. Every plant on Earth uses it. It must be the optimal solution. But then, in the 1990s, a group of scientists started looking at something else. They were studying organisms called halobacteria, and they noticed something strange. Halobacteria live in extreme environments, salt flats, salty lakes, places where almost nothing else can survive. And these organisms are not green. They are purple. Deep, vibrant purple. They use a molecule called retinal to capture sunlight, not chlorophyll. Retinal absorbs green light. It is a completely different molecular strategy. And here is the crucial question. Which came first? Most people would say chlorophyll came first. It is so widespread, it must be the original. But DasSarma made a radical argument. He argued that retinal came first. And here is why. Retinal is simpler. Much simpler. Its molecular structure is less complex than chlorophyll. Evolution tends to start with simpler things and build toward more complex ones. So retinal is much more likely to have evolved earlier. But that is not the only evidence. DasSarma also looked at the evolutionary tree of life, and he found something remarkable. The earliest branches of that tree are not green. They are purple. These ancient microbes have been around for billions of years, almost unchanged, and they use retinal, not chlorophyll. And then there is the light itself. Remember how chlorophyll reflects green light? That means plants throw away the very wavelength the sun produces most of. That is incredibly wasteful. It almost seems like a design flaw. But retinal does the opposite. Retinal absorbs green light. It captures the most abundant light the sun provides. So why would an organism develop a system that captures the most abundant light and then later evolve a system that throws that same light away? There is only one logical answer. The first organism developed retinal, and later, when chlorophyll appeared, green light was already being absorbed by something else. If you are a tiny microbe and everything around you is already absorbing green light, you have two choices: compete for that green light, or figure out how to use the leftover light nobody wants. Chlorophyll did the second thing. It evolved to use the light that retinal was leaving behind. That is the core of the purple Earth hypothesis. So what did a purple Earth actually look like? Not purple everywhere. Not like a giant grape floating in space. But the surfaces that were exposed to sunlight, the shallow waters, the shorelines, the coastal regions, would have been covered in a purple sheen. Imagine standing on a beach 3 billion years ago. The sky is pale blue, not so different from today. But the water at your feet? It is not clear. It is not blue. It is purple. A deep, iridescent purple, shimmering under the sun. The tide pools are filled with purple sludge. The rocks along the shore are stained violet. There is not a single green plant anywhere. Not one blade of grass. Not one leaf. Not one tree. The only life you can see is microbial, but it is everywhere, and it is purple. That was Earth for hundreds of millions of years. Now imagine a microbe floating in that purple ocean. It is using retinal to absorb green light and convert it into energy. It is thriving. This is the golden age of the purple microbes. But somewhere, deep in that ocean, Another microbe has done something strange. Through a random mutation, it has developed a new molecule. A green one. Chlorophyll. This new molecule does not compete for green light. Instead, it uses the blue and red light that the purple microbes leave behind. It is a niche strategy, a way to survive in the shadows of the purple world. And that works for a while. The green microbes survive. They are not dominant, but they exist. But then, something happens that changes everything. The purple microbes, for all their success, have a weakness. They need salt. Many of them rely on salt-heavy environments to survive. As Earth's chemistry shifted over time, the purple microbes began to decline. Their dominance faded, and the green microbes, the ones that had been waiting in the wings, began to take over. Slowly, over millions of years, the purple world faded away, replaced by a green one. So what proof do we have? First, retinal is simpler than chlorophyll. Evolution starts simple. Second, the deepest branches of the tree of life use retinal. Third, if chlorophyll came first, why would it ignore the most abundant light? That makes no evolutionary sense. Fourth, scientists have found traces of ancient pigments in billion-year-old rocks. Some of those traces match retinal compounds. And fifth, if life exists on other planets, what color would it be? Not necessarily green. On a planet orbiting a different kind of star, the most abundant light might be a different color, and life there might have evolved to capture that color. If we find a purple planet one day, it might not be alien. It might be a world that is still living in the purple era. So here is the strange and beautiful truth. You see the world as green because chlorophyll won. It outcompeted the purple microbes, and it painted the surface of this planet in its own color. But the purple world did not disappear completely. It left traces. It lives on in ancient microbes that still exist today, in salt flats and salty lakes around the world. And there is one more trace, one that is much closer to you. Look at your eyes. The retina is in your eyes. The word retina comes from the same root as retinal, the purple molecule. Your eyes evolved to detect light using proteins that are chemically related to retinal. When you see the color purple, when you look at a sunset or a flower or a piece of art, you are using a molecule that might be older than chlorophyll. You carry the purple earth inside your eyes. So the next time you walk through a green forest, remember, you are looking at the winner. But the loser is still with you. It is in your body, in your eyes, in the way you see the world. Earth is green now, but it was purple first. And if you look closely enough, you can still see it.